Welcome back to Cultural Geography. Last 2 days we've been talking about the cultural metaphor of Nigeria, the Nigerian marketplace, and now we are going back into our regular notes. So, Roman numeral 3, Western Africa. If you look in your books at page 504, there's a map of Western Africa. This map will help you on a future homework assignment, as well as give you a visual of the countries that we are about to talk about. Letter A, the Gulf of Guinea coast. Number 1, the country Nigeria. We just talked about the cultural metaphor for Nigeria. Now let's talk about the country itself. There's its flag pictured on the screen there. Nigeria is the most populous country in all of Africa. It has more than 174 million people. It was an English colony and gained its independence in 1960. The Niger and Benue rivers divides the country in 3 parts. If you look at the map on 504, you can see the Niger River on the left-hand side of Nigeria, the Benue River on the right side of, or the east side of Nigeria, and then they meet in the middle, forming the 3rd line. So 3 parts of Nigeria. That's also probably the best way kind of to divide Nigeria up into its 3 ethnic groups. So let's do that right now. Letter A, the Hausa Fulani Muslims in the north. If you're confused about the notes, there's number 1 right here, so letter A would be followed right down here. The Hausa Fulani Muslims in the north, they're located on the plateaus of the Sahel. Unlike the rest of Nigeria, the northern half consists of tribes that converted to Islam. About half the Nigerian population consists of the Hausa Fulani group. Today, most of these people are rural, living in traditional ways on the savannah, grazing cattle or growing crops. Nigeria is a leading producer of millet and peanuts. In case you're wondering what millet is, it's a type of grain. Conflict has erupted between the Muslim north and Christian south. In 1995, hundreds died and numerous villages were destroyed between Christians and Muslims fighting each other. Letter B, the Yoruba in the southwest. Sorry about the indentation of the B. It should be as indented as the A is. The Yoruba include part of the Slave Coast. Slave Coast, what's that? According to UNICEF, thousands of children are sold into slavery in Central and Western Africa each year. Children from countries like Benin and Togo are sent to the wealthier countries of Gabon and Nigeria. Many parents sell their children for seemingly small amounts of money as a last resort against starvation. Other children and some women are deceived into believing they are headed to a good job. So what was once called the Slave Coast, because of actual slavery in the 16, 17, 1800s, still a form of slavery is practiced, unfortunately, in this part of the world today, usually children or women. The Yoruba adopted many Western ways, including Christianity. The Yoruba make up about 1/4 of the Nigerian population. The Benin Kingdom's capital was located here, where bronze and brass statues made the kingdom famous until its fall in the 1700s. Nigeria leads Africa in producing hardwoods and petroleum. Nigeria also leads the world in the production of cassava, 4th in cacao, and 5th in plantains. Although Nigeria enjoys an abundance of natural resources, its corrupt government has wasted any benefits that have come from it. Letter C, the Igbo in the southeast. The Igbo this area consists of lowlands and some mountains. The region provides palm oil, hardwood, and rubber. In 1967, the Igbo fought for independence in the Biafran War, but lost. Dealing with war and a terrible famine, over 1 million Igbos died. When they finally surrendered, Nigeria, rather than punishing the Igbos, sought to bring reconciliation. And because of that, we've had general peace because of it. The Igbo have adopted many Western ways, including Christianity. So just like the Yoruba, the Igbo have done just that. Turn in your books, please, to page 507. 507, there's a box entitled Earth Matters, Drinking Water and Disease that I want you to read to yourself. Once you have finished reading, please unpause the video and we will continue. Number 2, the country of Benin. It was once a part of French West Africa, but it gained its independence. Unfortunately, 1/3 of the people practice voodoo worship. It is a form of animism. In 1996, voodoo was declared an official state religion. The rest of the people are Christians or Muslims. 18% of the land is arable. They grow cotton, corn, cassava, yams, beans, palm oil, and peanuts. Its government was a Marxist one with several military dictators, but the economy continued to fail. In 1991, it became the first Western African country to transfer from a dictatorship to a democracy. It has held free elections since and has made great strides toward free self-government. Number 3, the country of Togo. That's my sandcastle. Just kidding. Number 3, Togo. Togo is only 325 miles long and 50 miles wide. It is located on the Togo Hills, which covers the entire country. Togo was a colony of Denmark and Germany until World War I. Then it was a colony of Britain and France. In 1960, British Togo voted to join the country of Ghana. French Togo remained independent, and hence its own country today. 99% of the people are native Africans. While that might sound, weird, well, realize lots of people from other countries have moved to Africa. The fact that 99% of the people of Togo are native Africans is actually a rare, unique aspect. 45% of the people identify with some form of Christianity, 37% are animists, 17% are Muslims. Number 4, the country of Ghana. Speaking of Ghana, originally Ghana was called the Gold Coast. Originally settled by Portugal, then taken over by the British, it gained its independence in 1957. It favored communism during the Cold War. Since 1996, the government has stabilized and things have begun to improve. A couple things that are worth noting in Ghana include the Volta River and Lake Volta. The most important river in Ghana is the Volta River. Lake Volta is one of the largest man-made lakes in the world. Its creation was controversial, however, as it flooded 740 villages and displaced over 80,000 people. Just basically the government forced them to get out. Ghana is the second largest producer of cacao. In fact, Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire, Nigeria, and Cameroon produce over 70% of cacao. Of course, another word for cacao is cocoa. Ghana also ranks second in producing yams, fourth in plantains, and sixth in cassava. Turn in your books, please, to page 509. And please read the pink box entitled The Story of the Supreme Creator. Once you have finished reading that box, please unpause the video and we will continue. Number 5, the country of Burkina Faso. Burkina Faso is the only landlocked country in Western Africa. It's located right here. You say, what about these countries? Well, they aren't technically considered part of West Africa. They're considered part of North Africa. But Burkina Faso, right here, the only landlocked country in Western Africa, as we see all these countries here. It is slightly larger than the state of Colorado. The land consists of savannas and deserts. It was colonized by France and gained its independence in 1960. It has dealt with dictators and revolutions. Since 1966, Burkina Faso has had to deal with a dictator, followed by a military coup, followed by a dictator, followed by a military coup, and so on and so forth. Most workers go to neighboring countries to find work. Most people are poor cattle herders and subsistence farmers. Last country we'll talk about today is the country of Côte d'Ivoire. It is slightly larger than New Mexico and consists of dense forests and savannas. The Côte d'Ivoire is a French word that means Ivory Coast. So sometimes it's called Ivory Coast, sometimes it's called Côte d'Ivoire, but officially it's called Côte d'Ivoire, so that's what we're going to go with. The French colonized this region, and Côte d'Ivoire, which means Ivory Coast in French, it gained its independence in 1960. Côte d'Ivoire has dealt with prosperity, but, or I should say dealt with prosperity first, but is now dealing with instability. Unlike most of Africa, Côte d'Ivoire actually enjoyed prosperity after its independence. But in 1999, a military coup made the country unstable and has been that way ever since. Also, Côte d'Ivoire is the largest producer of cocoa beans. A little bit more about cacao production. Cocoa beans, or cacao, which grows well in tropical climates, are an important export of Côte d'Ivoire. In fact, Côte d'Ivoire is the world's leading producer of cocoa beans. Cacao trees produce large pods filled with beans, seeds. These pods hang from the trunks of the trees. When the pods are ripe, workers cut them off the tree with knives and split them open. Next, they scoop out the beans and spread them in the sun to dry. As the beans dry, their color gradually changes from purple to brown. When the beans are completely dry, the shells are removed and the kernels are either mashed to produce cocoa butter or ground to make a chocolate powder. Cocoa beans provide chocolate for flavoring candy, cakes, and many other kinds of tasty foods. The country also ranks second in producing yams. It also grows rice, coffee, and plantains. Unlike much of the rest of Africa, Côte d'Ivoire welcomes economic support from its former mother country, France. While the government is unstable, the country still ranks in the top 10 in standard of living in all of Africa. Please read the pink box at the top of the page entitled Ivorian Character. Once you have finished reading that, please unpause the video and we'll continue. That's all the material that we're going to cover for today. For your homework, first of all, you have page 175 in your activities book. It's a map. I warned you about the map, so make sure you do the map on page 175. Also, page 177 and 178 in the activities book. It's a reading section entitled Blood of Bat and Toe of Frog. Sounds like a very interesting read for you guys. Once you've read it, please answer the 5 questions on the back 178. So 175, 177, 178 for homework. Also, please take the quiz over pages 503 to 511. 503 to 511. Hope you all have a good rest of the day. Be good, do good. Bye.